like a magnet for the guys.
He's not a bodyguard, he's a recruiter.
And he comes up, starts chatting him up, and one thing leads to another, and
He's
the
there to see
bodyguard
if she's
tells
got a
him,
bulletproof vest.
Hard Copy is one of OJ's favorite shows. He tells her, because he doesn't care what you say about him as long as you just say his name and put his picture up there. The only thing that makes him mad is if that you do say a story about the bodyguard and just refer to him as, in passing, as OJ's bodyguard says, and it's not about him. That makes him mad.
See, that just warms my heart. I love to hear that killers have rules, too. It's all right if you tell about how I killed 2 people viciously because I'm a homicidal maniac, but don't screw up the bodyguard's name or my golf score. That's amazing.
So maybe one day we will get the interview, just as long as we ever. I've been trying to pitch the idea of just
but he's trying to
for about 1 minute every night, just putting up his pictures and saying, OJ, talk to us. OJ, we love you. Talk to us. Come talk to us.
And
eventually
guilty.
we'll get the thing.
You know,
no question.
He so did it.
No question.
So guilty. So guilty. And John Benet Ramsey's parents did it. Thank you. Don't you even fight with me, Barry Nolan, because they did it. No. They are so guilty.
The evidence certainly seems to be compelling.
And if they're not guilty, they should be thrown in jail just for dressing her up like a hooker at 8 years old, 3 years old, or however old it was. It was ridiculous.
But, you know,
they might as well just put a target on
the South would be in jail, too, because it's such a strange culture.
Then they should all be thrown in jail, because it's just like putting a sign on, pedophiles, come get me. It's awful.
It was such a surprise to people that were involved in the pageant stuff. I spent the afternoon with the people that ran that last pageant, that she was involved in, the Little Miss American.
That little girl went through something. No one at 3. You don't act. I don't care what anybody says. You don't act like that unless you've been through something adult-oriented.
It struck me as so weird. And I spent the afternoon with these people that ran the pageant and knew the Benets, the Ramseys, very well. And the mom in this couple that put on the pageant was like a kindergarten teacher. And the sort of person that, you believe is going to come in with little apple slices for everybody and lead them in great, creative, fun, children things.
And instead she's got iridescent blue eyeshadow for them. It's awful. And glitter. I mean, it's just, it's frightening.
The people there were so surprised that the rest of America was appalled at their behavior. They just didn't understand. They just didn't get it.
Amazing.
They don't understand what the issue is.
Amazing.
And, part of the reason that they're like that is because we parade in our daily lives adolescents as sexual objects. If you pick up, I know you have purchased Cosmopolitan magazine.
Sure.
And on the cover and in all the ads in Cosmopolitan magazine, there's all these nymphettes that are in little teddies and this is advertising to women.
12-year-old Biafrans, absolutely.
So we have engaged in that kind of behavior on a wide scale and have failed to recognize it ourselves. And maybe this is a wake-up call to, let's make the models look older.
Of course, the other thing you're overlooking is that it's also because in that part of the country they sleep with their cousins.
Well,
that's the other issue.
I know, down there.
There are some other variables you're missing.
People talk about, let's go to the family reunion, maybe we can meet some women.
Yeah. Hello.
He's not my brother.
Well, Barry, I just love you. It's so great to have you in here.
I think New York is so lucky to have you.
They don't yet, but they will.
I know that you have the good fortune of, because only Bob is listening and he's on vacation, you don't have to do all these pesky commercials.
Yes, I do.
This is a wonderful
thing.
Oh, okay.
That machine just doesn't work. Eventually we get to them. It just takes a while to kick in.
I'm so glad to finally meet you in person, and thanks for having me.
Likewise, your delight. Hard copy tonight. Watch Vanessa, dumb as a post. Mm-hmm. He didn't say it, but he implied it. Poor Marv. Do you think you'll get an interview with Marv?
No, because, Marv used to work for NBC, hates them now, but he'll find some out in the sports
Go
world.
figure. Like they're inviting him to their dinner parties.
His fiancée works for ESPN. His daughter works for King World, which does American Journal and Inside Edition and Oprah. So other outlets are kind of wired into... Oprah would be a good person to talk to Marv if he ever wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Because, she's accepting, but she's going to put him through the ringer, too.
Wow.
And he needs to be put there.
Is the fiancé sticking around? That's what I don't get, the fiancé.
Go figure. We have a woman. She used to work at Hard Copy.
His fiancé?
And one of the women that runs our New York bureau.
Every time you open your mouth, I get dirt.
I know, this is great.
Susan, they asked Susan, would she please go down and go to Washington and cover the trial? And she just goes, I can't. My heart is broken for Heather because she helped me get the job here at Hard Copy. She was always very kind and very sweet and a very decent person.
Oh, how
and I
embarrassing,
can't
I know.
understand how she is dealing with this. It's got to just be crushing her.
Oh, it
to
must
show
be
up
so
every day
embarrassing.
and to sit there in court and to hear this stuff as a surprise in court, in public, with all the news people watching your face for every reaction. Think of what that poor woman has gone through.
Well, exactly. Like, it's not embarrassing enough that you're publicly announced that you're dating Marv Albert.
You know, at times
and then on top of that, he's in your underwear.
You've got to be sitting there in court just thinking, you know, God must have spent the morning thinking to himself, how can I make it worse?
Exactly.
Well, maybe she's into that too. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. I'd love to have a chat with her.
There is something a little twisted awry there.
Well, you never know.
That's a whole nother show. And Barry will be back.
We'll be back.
Come back anytime, seriously, because you know I love you.
Hey, and good luck with this.
Thanks.
Thank
Hard
you,
copy
Barry.
tonight. Don't miss it. The exclusive with Vanessa, the bitey. 8:39 in New York's Classic Rock Station, Q104.3. Classic Rock Station, Q104.3, 8:51. I am beside myself with glee.
You are. You're
Downright
dewy.
ebullient.
You are dewy.
I am. I love Peter Max.
So
I love
do
Peter
I.
Max. Peter Max is brilliant. Perhaps the most brilliant man on the face of the earth. You're right up there with David Letterman. You and David Letterman. It's like neck and neck.
What a great combination.
Yeah, but you're married. So that puts David's one step ahead because I still have a chance to spawn with him. But you draw better. Peter Max coming up next. Don't you be stupid to leave because Peter Max is
Let me
so
pick
awesome.
up my pen.
Yeah, take notes.
He's going to start drawing.
You're so sweet. You even dressed up. You came
I
in. You
dressed
came in
up
all
for
dressed
you,
up.
yeah.
And we didn't even shower. God, I feel so bad. Darian O'Toole would be stupid to leave me because the one and only legendary, quintessential New Yorker, Peter Max, brilliant, coming up next.
Attention.
It's away from 9. Darian O'Toole and Sean Kelly. We were just telling the story off the air. I don't know if I should tell this on the air yet. But the most bizarre thing happened to me yesterday.
I think you should tell it on the air. It's a great
But I don't know if
story.
he'd mind. I don't want to. I don't want to be disinvited. But it was the sweetest thing. I went back to my hotel yesterday. And I'm not sure who the mutual friend is, but I went back to my hotel yesterday. I'm checking my messages. I'm cranky because it's been a long day. And out of the blue, there's
Normal
this message.
state of affairs.
There's this message that says, "Hi, this is John Stossel." Not a John Stossel, the John Stossel.
The John
The John
Stossel.
Stossel that I think is brilliantly talented and absolutely, amazingly, genius. The John Stossel.
Not just a
the 2020 John Stossel. That John Stossel.
That guy.
Yeah, the legitimate journalist, John Stossel. Like
real one.
Not like the big mouth redhead, Darian O'Toole. He said, I understand you're new to New York and you don't know any P and blah, 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 and I was just wondering if you'd like to have dinner with me and my family some night. Here's my number.
That's incredible.
Isn't that the sweetest thing in the
That's
entire
great.
world?
He and his family?
People are so wonderful here.
That is
That's New
really
York.
nice.
I thought, wow. Yeah, and then the next day, Peter Max gets up early and dresses up and bathes and he's drawing.
I know. He's
when
got the
Peter
pen
Max
going.
is drawing, that's a good sign. See, now I'm gonna see. This is when you see the real Darian.
I know.
You think I'm a caustic maniac, but the truth is, see now I'm gonna keep this. Nobody gets to touch it but me. He just drew me.
He just drew you. A Peter Max original.
Yeah. You're the only person I let draw me, by the way.
So how do you like it so far being in New York? You love it?
I love New York.
This is a
I'm an
great
East
city.
Coaster. I belong in the East Coast. I mean, we met in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's where
and
we met.
Immediately bonded.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of your work. I think you're just a genius.
Thank you. But this is a great, and you've got, this other great guy in this town.
Yeah,
Howard Stern.
and you know what? He is. Everybody
He
keeps
is. He's a great guy.
People keep comparing me and saying, "Oh, you're trying to be the female Howard Stern." You know what? That's so not true.
Yeah.
That's so not true. We do totally different things, and there's room for both of us. And you're right. I'm not antagonistic.
And I did a portrait of Howard.
Did you
he
really?
Has it. Yeah, I did it. I like him a lot.
Okay. Well, now
And
he's.
he meditates, and I meditate, so...
I meditate.
You meditate? So
Sure.
the three of us meditate.
Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
sure you do, yeah.
Every time I watch like Three's Company reruns, I'm doing my mantras. But you like me better, of course.
You're great.
Yeah, it's a little non-committal, Peter.
He happens to be a good friend.
No, he is. Yeah, he's
No,
not
he-
gonna be.
no, he's
I have
really-
nothing
But
to say.
you
Yeah.
guys are completely different.
We are totally
You're
different.
totally different.
And that's what. Yeah, and I'm glad
you
know.
both got long hair, though.
We both have a lot of hair. This is true. My nose is smaller. But the thing is, people keep comparing. I'm still chewing ice, as you can see. That hasn't changed.
No.
Yeah. People keep comparing me to him, and I think that that's just so silly. Or saying, "Oh, are you going to fight with him? Or are you going to?" It's just stupid.
No,
There's room. It's like Rosie and Oprah.
Right,
There's room for
right.
everybody. It's just silly. It's just a different. It's an alternative. But I think what he's done is genius.
Yeah, he's very New York, isn't he?
Sure. Absolutely. I have nothing against Howard. Absolutely not. I'd like to make as much money, you know.
Yeah.
I'd like to whip his butt, but, you know, eventually, you know. Now, there are other people in this town that are not so talented and not so nice, but we won't name names. But yeah, you're right. In my opinion, there's Howard, and then there's everybody else. Now there's Howard, and there's Darian. But yeah, I know everyone says, "Oh, you say his name. You shouldn't do that."
You shouldn't
like
do that.
people don't know he exists.
Yeah, right.
I've seen the movie 10 times. I think it's funny. I think what he's done is
great
genius.
movie. Isn't that amazing?
It's so accurate
amazing,
because it's
yeah.
so what radio is like.
It really
I've had
is.
so many idiot bosses like the people portrayed. In fact, one of the people portrayed in his movie I had an encounter with, and he said, pig vomit. And he said, you know, for a chick in this business, you're making a good hunk of change. I think it was like at that point 18,000. A year, not a day.
Yeah, a year.
You're making a good hunk of change, and you should just try to talk sexy. Don't try to be funny because you don't have a sense of humor. So I watched that movie, and I laughed a lot. So what are you up to? What's going on with you? Because you are New York. Peter Max is New York.
I just had a fantastic experience last night at the Metropolitan Museum. I was at an event where
I wish I'd known. I would have gone.
all the chairmen of the board of about 22 airlines got together to create this tremendous alliance, kind of to make air flights seamless. An amazing thing. I was there last night. I was a speaker. And all the airlines, 22 airlines, chairmen of 22 airlines, $100 billion worth of airlines were sitting there, 100 people. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
That was last night. A few weeks ago, and what was so nice is that it's really the future. You know, when I'm talking about like airlines being seamless, instead of flying, let's say from here to Madrid, you have to fly 8 other airlines.
Yeah.
You just book it, let's say with Delta, and
You have to go through Newfoundland.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's just one. It's like one airline. It's like listening to the radio. Like you put your radio on, and then you've got all these stations. It's not like you got to turn a different radio on for every station.
Right.
So
You just keep it on 104.3
Right.
and you don't move it.
And
That's
then-
exactly it. Yeah. I understand. I'm following your logic totally, Peter. But what about your art?
That was a poster I just created yesterday. What I do before that, I just finished Michael Douglas's portrait.
Now, what's he? I've heard.
He is a great guy. He comes to my studio a lot.
I've heard differing reports on him because, you know, we were in San Francisco and he was filming The Game, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard is brilliant.
Yeah, very
So
nice
we heard
guy.
some people that worked on it that I knew said he was not so great. Other people said he's wonderful. I've heard that he's
He's a great
wonderful.
guy. We both
heard he's
share a
brilliant.
fantastic friend, Shep Gordon, who's my best friend and his best friend, so we're always together.
Heard he has a great sense of humor too.
Yeah, funny
Funny guy?
great guy, and and he's
Great
great
actor.
to paint.
Oh,
Yeah,
such a
you know,
good
he's got
actor.
such amazing features, so easy to paint. Hard
Wow.
to make him look bad.
Oh yeah. I don't want a portrait. Come on, I have a gallery now. I don't have an actual apartment. It's like steel beams.
So where
They
are
keep
you,
promising
uptown,
an apartment.
downtown?
You know, it's downtown, and I got, you know, I'm, you know, this is you're going to just shake your head, Peter, because it's so typical Darian. I
This
rented
stuff happens to her
this
all
is,
the
This is
time.
something only Darian would do. I rented the apartment over the phone. I said, yeah, that sounds good. Take it. Stupid, because I saw something similar on the Upper West Side that was like $25,000 a month. And then the real estate agent was awesome. And she said, I found something. It's downtown. They're trying to make that into the new sort of area. It'll be quiet for you because we have to go to sleep so early because, you know, our life sucks and we have to get up at 4. And she said, you know, it's going to be, it's brand new building. They're reconstructing. It's 3,000 square feet with the terrace that goes all around. It's the penthouse. It's beautiful. She didn't mention that they hadn't actually started to build it yet. So I get here, and it's going to be, they go to show it to me, and it's nothing but steel beams and dust and drunken construction workers.
Where's that?
Well, I can't say exactly, because then, you know,
Upper West
the
Side?
one freak stalker I have. No, it's downtown.
Oh.
It's downtown, I know. Did I make a mistake?
No.
I did. You've got that look. I made a mistake.
Why? You mean to be downtown?
Yeah.
No, downtown is great. I love downtown. People always think that my studios are downtown, but I'm actually an uptown person. Always all my life, Upper West Side.
See, everything I looked at in the Upper West
I
Side
like
was
the
so
Upper West Side.
small.
It's
I
kind
love
of
it there, but it's just so small.
The West Side?
No, the apartments I looked
the
at were so
apartments.
tiny.
No, you got actually very large apartments.
See, I'm not as
in the-
talented as you, though. You can
You get very
afford
large
more.
apartments in the Upper West Side, actually. All those pre-war buildings. Huge rooms.
See, I should have gone real estate shopping with Peter.
Exactly.
You should've come over,
Called
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, let's go look at digs.
Yeah.
Now, do you live in your loft? The loft
No.
that you work in?
We
or
have
you
a
live
studio
separate?
by Lincoln Center, and then up in the 80s, we're on the Hudson River. And so it's about a 19-block walk, and I do that in the summers or, in spring. It's really nice. And I never go eat anywhere except between where my studio and my home is. I never
Really?
go midtown, across town, because I travel so much. I'm just so glad to always be near
To
the
be
house.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean keeps coming over and shoving that microphone in your face. I'm sorry, I don't know why he's doing that, because he doesn't even have his headphones on. They can hear him just fine, you
I'm
Kevin.
just moving it in front of him, that's all.
That's Peter Max. He can do the interview from another state if he wants.
I just want him to
He can
sound
do anything
clear.
he wants. So now what about your art? What are you
Well,
are you
I'm
doing?
doing next week. I'm doing a portrait of Sharon Stone.
Wow.
What a tough
And,
life.
Oh, now that's going to know.
She's just so very nice to paint. Really, I just
Really?
got the
Have you met her
photographs.
yet?
Oh yeah,
She's a good friend
Shep
too?
used to go out with Sharon, so it's.
You have all the dirt.
Yeah, and do you know who Shep Gordon is?
I certainly do.
He used to represent Alice Cooper, Blondie, and he's made films. Now represents all the chefs in America. Fantastic guy. Everybody in Hollywood loves him, and he's a guy I've
And he
known.
went out with Sharon Stone. I didn't know that.
He did, yeah,
You
for
have all the
about 2
gossip,
years,
Peter.
yeah.
Woohoo.
Well, everybody knew that back then. Then she made that famous film where she did that big karate kick that made her famous. What was that film?
The Karate Kick. Well, the real one was Basic Instinct. Is what made
Yeah,
it famous. I mean,
that's
it
when-
wasn't
yeah,
the Karate Kick. It was the crossing of the legs. Actually, it wasn't actually the Karate Kick. It was the.
That's what did make
It
her
was she,
famous.
yeah, Marv Albert apparently had her undies at that point. she was, she declined to wear hers that day. But the Karate Kick was the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, wasn't it? Is that,
Yeah,
is that the one you mean?
right.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
I don't
one.
remember.
Total Recall.
Total Recall, that's it. There you go, yeah. And I've heard different reports on her, too. I never met her.
Yeah, very sweet lady, really sweet. And
Who else have you done portraits for?
Oh my God! You know, I never thought I would be even a portrait artist because I'm just an expressionistic painter. But you know, slowly, you know, I was asked to do one person, another. I've done an installation of 100 Clintons.
Wow.
So the 100 Clintons would
100
fill up.
Clintons, that
would fill up
frightens me.
This 2 of your walls, and then I did 108 Dalai Lamas, and I've done Richard Branson, Virgin Records. I've done. What's his name? Doug, the guy that did 2001, and I've done. Oh my God, I've done so many. I've done, of course, Mick Jagger, David Bowie. I've done.
Your Mick Jagger is, I think, the best.
Yeah, it's a great Mick Jagger.
Yeah, I think it's the best representation of Mick
Yeah,
Jagger
it's-
anywhere.
it's
I don't
that
care
pose,
of
it's-
anything
yeah.
ever done.
Are you going to get together with him when they're in town?
Yeah, I'm going to see him actually in about 2 or 3 weeks from now in Las Vegas.
We're doing something, I can't tell what it is, but we're doing something very, now they know, you know, there's something very special going on, you know, all day long. You can win tickets through Matt and Cope and Maria for Stones, but I have something, I've decided to just bribe New York into falling in love with me by offering something very special with the Stones, which I can't tell you about
Really?
yet.
Can't
tell you
reveal,
about, no.
but
Can't tell
it's
you about yet.
worth waiting
Big
for.
secret, but it's huge, yeah.
That's great. I'm
Stones
so
are
glad
yeah,
they
I'm
just
so-
started, had another, you know,
I love the
album.
Stones, yeah.
They're tremendous.
Did you hear about the fight that with Keith Richards and Elton John?
No.
Keith Richards, now let me make sure I get it right. Keith Richards, now was it Elton John called Keith Richards a monkey with arthritis?
Right.
And then Keith Richards responded by saying Elton John was just an old guy who did portraits of dead blondes. Not
Writing
pretty.
songs for dead
Not
ones.
pretty. Not a pretty fight. A very unnecessary fight. Yeah. Those are the last two I'd expect to be fighting. Do you have any musical ability? Seems to me like you could tap dance, you could do whatever you want,
I
you could
love
juggle.
music. I love music. You know, if I wasn't a painter, I'd probably be a musician. And I have 3
You have
keyboards
that
in my
thing.
studio.
Really?
And I dabble around, but I'm not good. I mean, you know, if I would have really practiced, if I ever practiced 3, 4, 5 months in a row, I get pretty good. But then sometimes a few months go by, I forget to play, and it gets a bit dried out, you know. But I love rock and roll. I love alternative rock, classic rock. I love it all.
I know you're a fan of 104.3. Thank you very much.
I love 104.3 through all its changes. I loved it when it was alternative. When Sumner took it over and it became classic.
You're the one.
Yeah.
Oh, we found him.
We were looking.
Well, now it's even better. Now, and it's here to stay, and I promise we won't be going all Korean polka or doing anything crazy with it. It's new and improved and lemon fresh. Did you always know that you were an artist? Did you always know that you were brilliant?
You want to hear something interesting? When I lived in China,
Look at him. He
everybody...
says that like everybody.
Yeah,
went and lived
everybody
in
lives
China.
in China.
I lived there,
at
you
some
know,
point.
I lived in China with the Dalai Lama.
Well, you know, I lived in Shanghai and Tibet the first 10 years of my life.
No,
don't know
I
if you
didn't
knew
know that.
Yeah. I was born in Berlin.
Every time I see you, I learn something new and
And-
exciting about you.
So I lived in China, and everybody in China has a brush, you know, because the way they do the calligraphy, it's always with
Right,
a brush, the old-fashioned
Oh,
way.
okay.
So I had a brush, and everybody drew, and everybody painted, and I thought that's what people do in
This is when you were a
life.
kid?
I was a kid. I was under 10 years old. Then we went to Tibet. And then when I left Tibet...
You were doing calligraphy before you were 10?
I was drawing and painting and making believe I did Chinese calligraphy, but I knew how to hold the brush. I made it, you know, look like.
I was drawing those little wall things.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But so later on, I discovered science, and I wanted to become an astronomer because I was really good in math. So I was so unbelievably excited about astronomy. I mean, just imagine like being about 10, 11 years old and someone telling you what a light year is, and you go, a light year, let me see a light year. Well, a light year is every second within that light year, which are millions of seconds per light year, light travels at 186,000 miles a second. So you're trying to figure out, well, how many miles is that in a year? You can't even...
He just turned into Mr. Wizard and lost me.
But make a long story short, what got me really excited as recently... Did you see, by the way, Contact?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, did
loved
you hear
it. Loved it.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear it?
I'm a dumbass. I had to watch it twice to really get it. I admit it.
I saw it 3 times. I love it. I even had tears when she talked about the gallery.
It was amazing, wasn't it? It was amazing.
Did you know that? You know how many?
Everybody should go see that movie, by the way. If you haven't seen that movie,
It is the most fantastic.
excellent.
Such an incredible film.
And now, do you know how? I'm going to say something very interesting. Do you know how wide a single solar system like ours is? Our sun.
Look at you, Mr. Science, all of a sudden.
When
did you?
Do you know how wide it? You know, when you take the whole orbit of all the planets on our sun, and you go
which
from,
I am the center of.
You're at the center of.
Okay, yeah.
If you go from one side to the
universe,
other, it's
okay.
about 3 to 4 billion miles. Just a single solar system. How many of those do you think we have in our own galaxy? Solar systems that are 3 to 4 billion miles wide in orbits. You know, all the planets
Okay,
going
now
around.
I couldn't answer that. Stan Johnson, who hangs out with Bigfoot in the 8th dimension,
yeah.
could answer that.
He could answer
I can't
that,
answer
but-
this question.
You want to hear it? It's
You've
unbelievable.
stumped me. Okay.
400 billion suns in one
Wow.
in our single Milky Way galaxy. And you know how many galaxies they
God,
know?
with this skin, I would spontaneously combust if I went if I went even a million miles west.
Yeah. And they're
Wow.
launching this fantastic new satellite that's going up in about 3-4 days. That's going to go to Titan, which is one of the moons at Saturn, to find out if there's life.
Now, when you watch Contact, were you sitting there thinking? Because I walked away with the guy that I went with. I went with my then boyfriend, and we walked away thinking, it could happen. It could happen, especially when you consider where it comes from.
Well, look, if the American government, NASA, is spending several $1 billion to shoot something up to Saturn to see if there's life, you know how advanced this is. Yesterday, they had an article in the New York Times in the science section where they talk about this. You know, well, in 19, whatever it was.
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
in the late 50s, 58 or 60, in the early 60s when they sent the Sputnik up.
Right.
You know, it weighed like 18 pounds. This thing today,
And now it's like an ounce.
It's 12,000 pounds.
Oh.
And it's going to be traveling. It's going to be traveling from now till year 2004 till it reaches Saturn. It's going to be traveling 6 years.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But you want to see something else? You see this thing on my lapel?
I was looking
This
at that
is
earlier, and I
the
was wondering what
pioneer.
that
The
was.
people at NASA gave this to me, and I'm going to be doing a project. You know
Is
the
there anybody
pioneer?
that you don't know?
Yeah.
Name. I can't.
not much.
There's not. I mean, NASA to any pop culture icon, to any musical person, to any. I mean, there's no one that Peter Max is not connected to in some way.
You know, in art,
You have the most interesting life of anyone I know.
It really is, because as an artist today, because media and art is kind of one, and so I'm at NASA.
You can do anything.
Yeah, but this little machine that was the pioneer that used to go around and visited all the planets. Yeah, I'll let you look at it. And
Next, we'll do card tricks for those of you listening, and a mime show.
here. But anyhow,
You just got to trust me; it's gorgeous.
It is.
it left our solar
Oh wow!
system.
It looks like a.
It's traveling at 17,500 miles an hour. This is the Voyager that went from planet to planet, over 10, 20
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
measured,
And it's shiny.
When that thing left, it left our solar system at 17,500 miles an hour. It is traveling to the nearest sun in this whole gigantic galaxy, the nearest sun, which is only 4 light years away. It's traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. How long do you think it will be before it goes to the next sun?
How big is your brain?
It's going to take 1 million years before it gets to the
million
next-
years?
A million
Wow.
years at 17,000 miles
Now
an
sit
hour.
your butt down, because now you're too far away from the microphone. Look at that. Look, he knows how many billion. Look, he knows about light years, but he can't talk into a microphone. What is that? No basic life skills, but he's the smartest man in the world.
It's that genius
How
thing.
does that happen?
It is.
Can't tie his shoes, but look what he's doing. NASA. Peter Max at NASA.
Yeah, I was there. It was the
And
most
you go from
amazing-
that to backstage with the Stones.
Yeah. I happen to
Not
love
a bad
science.
life.
I love science. It's, we're now living on the edge of all this knowledge.
Yeah.
If this knowledge would have come to us, let's say 20 years ago, it would have made the front page of the New York Times every single day. But now they discover suddenly that the universe is 5 times as large. It's in the back.
And it's in the back,
of the magazine.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
This
And,
is
and Marv
overload.
Albert's on the front
Yeah.
page. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. No, really. He's absolutely right.
It is.
I agree with you. It's frightening. Do you think you'll live to go to Mars?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to Mars.
Well, according to Stan Johnson, it's not. It's windy there. Jupiter's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Saturn, the Titan moon, which is they say that Titan, which is one of the many moons that Saturn has nearly this exact same makeup as Earth. It's got oxygen, nitrogen, carbon. So they think there could be life. The only thing is it's a little bit cold there, 300 degrees below zero. So who knows?
Well, I'm from Nova Scotia. I'm used to that. I could deal with that.
There could be more of you around.
Yeah, I could do that. There'd be people even whiter than me there.
A whole planet full of you.
I could live with that. That's what I was saying I love the most about the East Coast. On the East Coast, on the West Coast, I'm pasty. Out here, I'm alabaster.
Porcelain.
Much better. Much, much better. Peter Max drew me. Look.
I know. Look at that.
Who is the umbrella?
That's the Umbrella Man. That's one of the characters I do.
Oh, okay.
I've got all these characters. One's called Umbrella Man. One's called Zero Megalopolis. He wears a monocle, and Zero's his name, and Megalopolis is his game. You know what a megalopolis is?
Uh-huh.
The megalopolis, for the listeners who don't know, is when let's say when you're landing in a city and the lights stretch from New York to Philadelphia. That's called a megalopolis, when it's just going beyond one city.
I did not know that word.
Yeah,
Megalopolis. That is my word of the
I never knew it either,
day.
but a friend of mine many years ago.
But I did make up
name.
renoculant today. It just came out of my mouth. I don't think it exists. Yeah.
That's a good word.
I don't think it exists, though.
No.
It just sounded good at the time.
Wow.
We have to assign a meaning now.
That's a good word.
So I could in theory, peruse a renoculant. What is it? Metronopolis?
Megalopolis.
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 I keep thinking. See, when I hear megalopolis, I think snuffleupagus, and I go right. Yeah, I go right back to Sesame Street. Dan, did you any? What about movies and television and stuff like that? Because you seem to me like you should be on the screen.
I'm writing films and I have animated characters for film. It's all going to happen.
You should be on the screen.
Yeah,
you
wow.
personally should be on the
Wow.
screen.
You think so?
Yeah. I need to be your agent.
Wow. Okay.
But did you ever have any desire to do that?
No, I never did, but I always wanted to make movies. And because I've spent so many years in a creative retreat, I never got to do anything except draw and paint. And now I'm going to be doing movies. I'm writing films and I'm talking to all kinds of people. And I've got I've got maybe 10,000 animated characters like running around all over my studio, looking for a job.
So
they all would like a part in the movie.
Line forms at the left. I think you should be a movie star. I think you should do everything you want to do. I think you should absolutely write a book.
Yeah, that we're doing right now. We're doing a
you've
couple
got to
of
do an
books
autobiography.
Right now. Yeah.
Because I mean, it's so hard to tap in even to everything that we know about you. Because if you go through your life, I mean, what you did, the 60s for you. I mean, the 60s for everybody but for you,
amazing. Your association with the Beatles.
It's amazing you made it out
Yellow,
alive.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yellow Submarine.
That was so amazing. The 60s were really where all the ideas that got actualized like this last decade and a half, actually they were dreamt up in the mid-late 60s. You know, all the ideas of ecology or health foods. Do you remember that, like, let's say right now, every city's got like 5-10 health food stores, you know,
right.
And you've got all these, brown rice diets and, macrobiotics. But back in the 60s, there was...
It was a hippie thing.
Yeah, but there was maybe one or two in the whole United States, and they had like maybe one little spiritual book. I remember the first book I ever saw was Thus Spake Lao Tzu. And that was the first